Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lalit Rao, and I am the editor of www.cinemapoet.com website. And today, with me, I have a special guest all the way from Manila, Philippines, Auraeus Solito. Auraeus is here at the 16th International Film Festival of Kerala, where a selection of Filipino films has been shown in the festival for the first time. Auraeus, thank you very much for giving me a chance to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Lalit.
Okay, Auraeus, first of all, I would like to start by asking you, in this film of yours, which we got a chance to see in the morning, The Blossoming of Maximo Oliveris. I believe, looking at Maximo, there are two kinds of world in which he is living. His own self-world of fashion parades, world of innocence. And there's a harsh world of his father, a petty criminal, world of his brothers. Okay, so how can we establish a kind of equilibrium between these two kinds of worlds? Because for this boy, it's difficult to live in these two different worlds. He is neither of that world or nor of this world. So how can we establish a kind of equilibrium?
Well, going up around the slums, I've learned that people might be poor but not in spirit.
Okay.
Sometimes in our neighborhood, and growing up there, people have been really kind people and been great, and because we have had a good relationship, my mother, my father, family, with the slums around us. And I think it's just simple respect with other people, and I think sometimes the poorer the people get, the more human they become. Of course, there are some who will become the opposite, but there are some, I always believe, like what Lino Broca said, in every slum there's a gem.
Yes, yes.
I remember because when his film was shown in Cannes, in Shang, the first Filipino film in Cannes at the Directors Fortnight, the Cannes audience asked him, "Why is that woman so beautiful? Yeah, why is she in the slums?" And then Lino Broca answers them, "She is from the slums."
Yes.
So I've always believed in that amidst this, so-called ugliness, there's
poverty,
always
misery.
All this misery, this beauty.
Okay. Yeah, of course, I very well remember reading in Noel's book about this particular film.
In Shang. Have you seen in Shang?
No, I've not seen.
Oh my
but
God, it's the best Filipino film ever.
Yeah. We hope that this program becomes success and we have more and more Filipino films.
Yeah, they should have the Filipino films of the 70s.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, they're the best.
Yes. But but Auraeus, I would like to know from you, is there some kind of trace of autobiographical element in this kind of film?
Well,
have you been inspired somewhat from your own life or something?
Well, the script was not mine.
Okay.
The script was not mine. I was asked to direct this screenplay, and then when I read it originally, I didn't want to do it, and but suddenly there were some things that are meant to be. Of course, I injected. I grew up around that area, and everything was so, personal, and there would be. And I also fell in love with my officer when I was in high school. So I only realized after I did the film, because I realized the first play I wrote when I was 17 was about an officer who seduces his cadet, and I remember I fell in love with that officer. So there.
So some traces of film were taken from here and there.
Yeah,
Okay.
And all gay boys, they love to do Miss Universe.
Okay.
We're it's always a game, and even in the theater.
It brings me to mind this Australian film Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
But Filipinos are like Miss Universe fans.
Okay.
Maybe like Indians.
Yeah,
I mean, the Miss Universe scene was a hit in the cinema.
Yes.
So we grew up with Miss Universe. Even in the theater, we would joke. Everybody will have cloth, and we will have a competition for Miss Universe.
Yeah.
So all the boys will wear in drag, and then we will parade.
Okay. Auraeus, in the morning when I was speaking to you, you spoke to me about your background from theatre.
Yeah.
So how difficult or how easy was this transition from theatre to cinema?
Actually, it was much easier than my transition from science to theater, because I was a science scholar.
Okay.
I was part of the Philippine Science High School. Actually, my third film is about that high school.
Okay.
we're a bunch of whiz kids, the top 200 students of the Philippines. There's a school in the Philippines that they give an exam to everyone, the top students.
It's a competitive school.
Yeah, competitive school, and then they choose the top 200. So I was a nerd, you know. In high school, I was, my transition from science to the arts. That's how I discovered my art, through science.
Okay. And what about the fact that you mentioned that there are 3 kinds of film festivals in Manila, Philippines. One is Metro Manila Festival, which is for commercial cinema.
Yes.
Then there's Cinemalaya, and then there's one which is run by Tikoy.
Cine Manila,
Cine Manila, Cinemalaya, and then Metro Manila.
Yes.
So this film of yours, which category will it fall into, and where was it shown?
It was the first batch of Cinemalaya.
Okay.
You know, they had the test. They chose 10 stories to give 500,000 pesos each as a seed fund, and it's up to you to look for the additional financing. And this is the first batch of Cinemalaya, and it was a hit. Nobody expected that. I mean, the first time it was screened in the Philippines, it was unbelievable. Even a journalist wrote about it. He said the new independent scene started at that moment.
Okay.
The first screening where everybody just applauded and screamed and stomped their feet at the ending, and even I was surprised. I didn't expect it at all, and then eventually it was released in the cinemas. It was such a box office hit. We beat Chicken Little and King Kong.
Auraeus, normally when we look at cinema, we look at national cinemas in our own defined terms. For example, Hong Kong cinema is famous for martial arts. Indian cinema is for Bollywood. How would you define Filipino cinema?
Okay, that's a good question, because the programmer from Cannes told me, each cinema, eventually they define it and the new wave disappears, right?
Yes.
But every year they go to the Philippines, they're surprised. They can't believe it. Nothing is the same.
Okay.
Every year they're surprised. Things are, another filmmaker will do something else. There's no trend. Because I think, it's our complex history. We were 333 years under the Spanish, and then 100 years under Hollywood, under America. So we have this European influence. We have this Hollywood influence, but we also have our indigenous influences, because we have, we're the only colony of Spain who never lost its languages. So we have varied languages in the tribes, and the indigenous lands and dialects, and also each island you go to, it's like a different country. So what's amazing now is actually, after the digital independent boom, the regions are making their own films now. So it's really totally different. Each country, it's like a different country altogether. Like my latest film, Palawan Fate, it's the first indigenous Palawan film based on my mother's stories, because she came from the Palawan tribe. And the Cannes programmers were really surprised when they picked it up for Director's Fortnight. They said they have no word to describe the film. The main artistic director was telling me, I can only call it Palawani. It's like something new. So it's a very tricky. My latest film is a very tricky film, and some people will really get in and like it, and some people will just not comprehend.
Auraeus, as a representative of Filipino film industry, of course you are an independent director, but currently, given the socio-economic condition of Philippines, I believe there are a lot of call centers, a lot of economic development is happening, but that is not reflected in Filipino cinema. Why do you think that is so?
No, there's one movie about the call centers.
Okay.
But it's not made.
Okay.
Oh, no, don't quote me anyway. Yeah, so there are actually a couple of films made about the call center phenomena, but nothing does it well. No one has done it well. So what is the question again? I'm sorry.
No, Mike. That such economic development does not get reflected into Filipino cinema, or maybe
because the economic development is reflected in the commercial cinema.
Okay.
Everybody's well off there. Everybody's upper middle class there. Everybody is wearing all these high fashion clothes there. I mean, I think it's about time for us the independent filmmakers show our reality
of that
of the other reality, because the other reality is of course they are richer, well off actually. But actually I'm about to do an upper class film.
Correct.
Because a novelist just asked me, her novel, I cannot say the novel yet, it will be published in the US, and she has asked me, she wants me to direct it, and it's about she comes from the upper class of the Philippines, and it's crazy. So I enjoy directing different genres. So, I mean, there was a programmer in Torino who has seen all my work, and when he introduced me, he said, not a single film is the same. It's like it's different filmmakers who made it, and maybe the theme is, you know, it's always marginalized characters who survive, who find the beauty in themselves and survive amidst the misery.
Auraeus, there are a lot of Filipinos abroad, for example, who are working abroad and living abroad. Do you think they have some kind of access to your kind of independent cinema?
Oh my God! I mean, my best audiences, my best reactions are from the Filipinos abroad, more than the Filipinos in my own country.
Okay.
Like I remember in San Francisco, the most touching moment was when this old man was, you know, after watching Maximo in the San Francisco Film Festival, he was, he was really old, and he approached me and he held me and said, "It's the most beautiful Filipino film I've seen." And you know, I was so touched, and even the Filipinos would go over. So, oh my God, you know, because somehow the Filipinos abroad, they miss themselves.
Yes.
They realize their value.
Yes, yes.
They realize what they lost, and you know, that's why when they see Filipino cinema, they're so appreciative.
What about the foreign audience? How do they react to your films? Especially the festival audiences.
Always, I've never failed to thank pero I mean, anti-jinx, but I've always had applause in all my films, and I'm very happy with it because I'm a theater major, and I'm used to the theater where everybody will naturally give you an applause in the end, or give you a boo if it's bad. But so I never expected that. You know, with Maxim, when I had an applause after the scene, I was like, oh my God, it's like I never left theater. When Palawan's Fate was shown the other day, it was the best audience of my life. I mean, 15 minutes before the film, there's this magical scene, and people just started applauding. And then there's another magical scene. All my magical scenes from the shamanistic transformation,
yes,
people were applauding continuously. And then the last 3 shots, people were just like, oh, it was the best experience of my filmmaking career. And that moment, it felt good to be a filmmaker, really.
Lastly, Auraeus, I would like to know something about the budgets of your film. As in the morning you were discussing, and you surprised me by telling that in Sundance.
Yeah.
So can you tell something about that?
Yeah, well, about the budget, I learned from Sundance, because I learned not to divulge the budget.
Yes.
Because in Sundance they asked me, how much is the budget of your film? And then I said $10,000. Then all the cinema, wow, they applauded. Yeah. But the problem with that is the distributors will buy it for $10,000.
Yes, that's
so now my producers always tell me, do not tell the budget of your film. I'm always hush-hush. I have never said, but yeah, I began with a $10,000 film, and it was amazing. It brought me around the world, and it gave me so much blessings. It gave me a career. It gave me a bank account. I won 50 international awards and prize money. I never had a bank account before, so it's crazy. You could actually survive.
Even that element you put in the film, in the form of Victor. When his boss asked him how much you have, he said 300 people. I don't have a bank account.
That's so me. I didn't even have an ATM.
Yes.
It's crazy. There's so much blessings in this cinema. And it's good to be a filmmaker at this time, because there's film festivals who appreciate it.
Yes.
I mean, partly in the 70s, why Filipino films there were so many good Filipino films, but they didn't have a need to go to film festivals because they were making money in the local domestic market. And sometimes I heard stories from the elder directors that their producers said, no, we have to spend subtitles, another 100,000 for subtitles, forget it, because they have already made so much money from the I guess now it's a different era, and hopefully I think the Philippine cinema is on the verge of a new golden age.
Great. Then thank you very much, and I wish you all the best, and may you continue to show us more and more films with more and more news stories. Thank you, Auraeus.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.